Okay guys, here's the thing. In continuation of this C# dedicated playlist, we're gonna talk a little bit about object-oriented programming. You know, we're gonna mess around with classes and objects and instances and stuff like that. Before we do that, we absolutely need to understand a little bit about namespaces. Up till now, we are just thinking about this thing as a general boundary around dedicated source code that will do something concretely. But question is where we can create these namespaces. Obviously we can create that in primary .cs, in this case program file, but we can also have that into external files. So let's just dedicate this tutorial to internal, let's use that term, namespaces. So question is, practically, can we have like this namespace learn CS multiple times if your source code is a little bit big, so you have different namespaces? Can you repeat this learn CS? Basically, that's the question. Well, yes. So down there, we're gonna again say namespace learn CS. Now, why I do have this tutorial? Because you need to understand that you can have a bunch of namespaces here with different names, but yes, you can also have, let's use this terminology, duplicates. At the end of the day, this is the same thing. So you can have it in the middle between additional namespaces, at the end of script, at the start of the script, it's up to you. So for simplicity reasons, namespace learn CS will be immediately after this, let's say, primary learn CS introduction. So in here you cannot just you know, again use all these variables directly without class. So again we must create some kind of a class. We need to give it a name. For example, let me push this down there, class, but this class will be different than this one. Okay, namespace will be same, but class will be different. So let's just name it like storage, or it's totally up to you. Storage, and now in here we can use all those additional methods and variables and stuff like that. So for simplicity reasons, I'm gonna create new variables here. Data type will be, for example, string, and name will be test string, and value will be some string. Okay, and also we will have just one character for simplicity reasons, and let's name it individual char. You can choose something shorter, and let's give it a value for simplicity reasons A, or anything else. Right, so how we are going to use these things right here in a program where we have main method, and every C# program demands main method, and C++ program, let's say. So these things are just for, you know this, read line to press enter when you're into console. We do have one variable and we are just using it directly, but this is inside the program and this is inside the storage. Okay, so if I press F5 now, what's gonna happen is, let's just give a Visual Studio a little bit of time, 50, because this 50 is from main and the main is in program. Okay, what about storage? Can you, for example, say something like this, console.write line, and now because down there in storage we have test string, can we just say test string? Okay, will this be usable? Well, F5, and we're gonna land into error. What concretely is error? Well, the name test string does not exist in the current context. Obviously we have it down there, but generally we cannot use it right here. So what can we do? Well, see this storage, it's a primary to this thing. So learn CS is like a general boundary around storage, and storage is like a general boundary around all these variables and methods we are going to create. So here, when we say storage, is this test string available then? Well, F5, and again we have a problem. So storage test string is inaccessible due to its protection level. So this is new kind of error, and this is really error. See, red stuff, dangerous stuff. Okay, so protection level. So in that case, what we need to do is right here to say that this variable and also that one, they're publicly available. How? Well, let's just use access modifier public, and also for character public and F5. And will this work? Well, no. What is error then? An object reference is required for the non-static field, method or property, which means practically that it is not enough to have data type. It is not enough to have public, but also in the middle you also need to state that static thing. So static for string and static for character, and now F5, will this produce, static, sorry about error while I was typing, static char, oh right, F5, L result will be some string. So now this value in a test string is available through storage.testString because we do have static, and also these variables are publicly available to class program. Okay, so it is really not important if you have same name for namespaces. These things down there in dedicated classes also need to be inside the public. They need to be publicly available. Right here you don't have that, but this is a primary class, okay? And these classes down there, let's just say they are secondary, okay? So this is a case when you have two namespaces with the same name, actually one namespace. And yes, you can have bunch of these if you want to split your namespaces, your classes in different boundaries. So, well, what about other namespaces? Can you have like different names down there with dedicated variables and classes and methods? Well, yes. So we are going to say namespace. So we are creating totally new boundary where the rest of the stuff will be. And let's just give it a name, internal, let's say. Internal A, okay? And inside, we also need to have classes, right? So let's give it a name, I don't know, like backup A. Backup A, it's totally up to you. Just use something with meaning. And now in here, we are going to create again couple of, for simplicity reasons, these variables. Okay, so public, we must type public because also we want these things that we are going to create to be publicly available to main method in a class program, right? So public, don't forget static, and for simplicity reasons, integer x, let's say, will be 5. That will be value. And let's just have another one. This will be integer y and value will be 15. Okay. So how we are going to use this thing from here in a Learn CS, in a class program? Well, let me do something here. Okay, just a second. Right. Console dot write line. And will this work if we target, for example, backup AX here immediately? Well, let's try that. Backup uppercase B A dot, this is how we delimit. What are we targeting here? Well, that X. Okay, backup A is a class here and X is a variable. So can we use it? Well, F5 and problem. So what is the problem? The name backup A does not exist in the current context. Right. So obviously we must somehow import this internal A namespace because this namespace holds a bunch of these things. So let's do that. Can we do that like this? Like long typing thingy? Right, so save and F5. Will this thing work? Well, obviously it will. But the problem is we need to type a lot. Okay, well, can we have on the left side custom report? Well, yes, why not? So how we are going to call this? Like X from internal a namespace, let's say. Okay, and this will obviously work. Okay, so definitely we know from where this 5 is coming from. So same stuff for epsilon. Epsilon from internal A, because it is, both of these are internal A, and we are targeting backup A, but this time epsilon as a variable. So this will yield 15, and that's fine. But the problem is we need to type a lot here. So is there any way how to solve this? Well, yes, actually. So right here we are going to say using another namespace which is internal A, okay, and then we're gonna copy paste it right here and F5, and what's happening? Yes, it will work, but what's the purpose then of having internal A right here? So can we remove this and again like that? So we just have backup A with X and epsilon without using on left side internal A. Will this work now? So F5, and there you go, it will work. So bottom line, guys, bottom line, if you do have different namespace, to save yourself a little bit of typing, use using and then name of that namespace, and this is how you shorten amount of time you need to waste or spend while you are typing, doing stuff. Okay, but can we remove this backup A? Will this thing then work? Well, let me test that. So F5 and problem. So the name X does not exist in the current context. So will this work? If we type, for example, dot here and we are targeting backup A. Okay, but coup backup A, will this work? So F5 and problem. Problem is a using namespace directive can only be applied to namespaces. Please guys, remember this. So when you're using something here with using, that thing can be only namespace. So backup A is a class and it is not a namespace. So what they are suggesting is consider using static directive instead. Will this work? Well, here when you say static, now obviously something is happening, it looks like code is correcting, so F5 and the thing will work. But the problem is then here you need to specify every class in internal A you have, and then you're polluting your top of script pretty much. So yes, you can say static and you can use this approach, but question is then how you will know from where this 6 is coming from. So that's a problem. Yes, you can click right click and you can click on go to implementation and you will land here. But a better option will be to see that class from where X is coming from. So yes, you can use this option, but the better option will be to just use normal stuff like using internal A namespace, okay, and then down there type that thing manually, that class. Did I type that correctly? Just a second. Right, internal A, and if we press F5 now, we're gonna land in the problem because the name X does not exist. Well, why? Because we need to just find parent of that variable. So backup A, and this is, yeah, I mean, we need to type a little bit longer, but it is very practical because immediately you have short here instruction, which is cool, and down there for simplicity reasons it is nice to know from where this X is. Okay, so this is my way of doing things, so it's totally up to you. Right, F5 again to confirm things, and there you go, the thing works. So question is, what about, for example, methods? Can you, in this storage class, can you have some dedicated method? And yes, actually, but also you need to say that that method is a public static. So let's repeat that stuff. Public static void, and let's call it direct print. It is totally up to you. And we're going to print something like console.writeLine, and something easy to understand. I am from a storage class. And now here we can use it. For example, way before stuff from backup A. Okay, so we can mix things. Why not? Variables and methods. It's totally fine. Right here, let's say. How we are going to use it? Well, storage. We must say storage because this is a new class. It is not into program. Okay, so we must say storage dot. And directly, I mean, immediately you have listing here. So direct print is available. And because this is a method, we must use parentheses. And guys, that's it. F5. And the thing will work. Okay, so I am from storage class. Really is a result because it's cool. If you remove storage, F5, you're gonna land into problem. Because the name direct print does not exist in current context. So you must use like originator here, which is storage. Okay, so yet another question. See this like backup A here? Well, is there any way to have like a alias for that? Well, actually yes. So right here we're gonna disregard this internal A because you can, if you like that approach. And you can use aliases. Well, how? Well, you're going to say using and the name of that alias. So it's totally up to you. After using, let's just give it an uppercase name like internal A. It's totally up to you. And what that thing int A represents? Well, it is representing internal A. Okay, internal A. Internal A and backup A. So this is alias. And now here you can just remove that thing if you like that way, and hopefully everything will be fine. Oh, what's happening? The name X does not exist in current context. Why is that so? Just a second. Oh, right. So I do have alias, but I'm not using it down there. Sorry about that. So int A, just copy that right here and just use dot. And now the thing will totally work. No worries. So there you go, guys. It's totally up to you what kind of way you are going to use. Just keep it simple as much as you possibly can. So I'm gonna roll with, you know, something normal here. Like I'm gonna use internal A. So this will be my way, and here I will not use namespaces. I will just target that specific class, which is backup A. Backup A dot, and also here. Okay, this will work. Right. Save F5 to test things. Now this tutorial was a little bit longer, I understand, but I'm definitely sure now that you do understand that you can have the same namespace dispersed all over the place in your bigger application, that you do understand that you can have, that you must have classes inside namespaces, obviously with different names than here, and that you do understand that we need to type public static for variables and for methods, and you will definitely figure it out that we can use, you know, shortcuts here, or static if you wanna roll with it that way. So sorry about little bit longer tutorial, but I'm definitely sure that this tutorial will be useful. Anyway, guys, in the next one we're gonna mess around with external file, external namespaces and external classes. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Source code will be available at the site soon as possible. And one more time, sorry for a long tutorial, but it will be good reference. Thank you. Let me press with F5. Check that one more time. Everything works. See you next one. Ciao.